First Term at Malory Towers by Enid Blyton. Chapter 1. Off to Boarding School. Darrell Rivers looked at herself in the glass. It was almost time to start for the train, but there was just a minute to see how she looked in her new school uniform. "It's jolly nice," said Darrell, turning herself about. "Brown coat, brown hat, orange ribbon, and a brown tunic underneath with an orange belt. I like it." Her mother looked into Darrell's room and smiled. "Admiring yourself?" she said. "Well, I like it all too. I must say, Malory Towers has a lovely school uniform. Come along, Darrell. We don't want to miss the train your very first turn." Darrell felt excited. She was going to boarding school for the first time. Malory Towers did not take children younger than 12, so Darrell would be one of the youngest there. She looked forward to many terms of fun, friendship, work, and play. What will it be like? She kept wondering. I've read lots of school stories, but I expect it won't be quite the same at Malory Towers. Every school is different. I do hope I make some friends there. Darrell was sad at leaving her own friends behind. None of them was going to Malory Towers. She had been to a day school with them, and most of them were either staying on or going to different boarding schools. Her trunk was packed full. On the side was painted in big black letters, "Darrell Rivers." On the labels were the letters M.T. for Malory Towers. Darrell had only to carry her tennis racket in its press and her small bag in which her mother had packed her things for the first night. "Your trunks won't be unpacked the first evening," she said. "So each girl has to take a small handbag with her nightie and toothbrush and things like that. Here's your 10-shilling note. You must make that last a whole term, because no girl in your form is allowed to have more pocket money than that." "I shall make it do," said Darrell, putting it into her purse. "There won't be much I have to buy at school. There's a taxi waiting, Mother. Let's go." She had already said good-bye to her father, who had driven off to his work that morning. He had squeezed her hand and said, "Good-bye and good luck, Darrell. You'll get a lot out of Malory Towers because it's a fine school. Be sure you give them a lot back." Now they were off at last, the trunk in the taxi too, beside the driver. Darrell put her head out to take a last look at her home. "I'll be back soon," she called to the big black cat who sat on the wall washing himself. "I'll miss you all at first, but I'll soon settle down. Shan't I, Mother?" "Of course," said her mother. "You'll have a lovely time. You won't want to come home for the summer holidays." They had to go up to London to catch the train for Cornwall, where Malory Towers was. "There's a special train always for Malory Towers," said Mrs. Rivers. "Look, there's a notice up. Malory Towers, platform 7. Come along. We're in nice time. I'll stay with you a few minutes and see you safely with your housemistress and her girls. Then I'll go." They went onto the platform. A long train was drawn up there, labeled Malory Towers. All the carriages were reserved for the girls of that school. The train had different labels tucked in the windows. The first lot said North Tower, the second lot said South Tower, then came compartments labeled West Tower and others labeled East Tower. "Your North Tower," said her mother. "Malory Towers has 4 different boarding houses for its girls, all topped by a tower. You'll be in North Tower," the headmistress said, "and your housemistress is Miss X. You must find her." Darrow stared about at the girls on the crowded platform. They all seemed to be Malory Towers girls, for she saw the brown coats and hats with the orange ribbons everywhere. They all seemed to know one another and laughed and chattered at the top of their voices. Darrow felt suddenly shy. "I shall never know all these girls," she thought as she stared around. "Gracious, what big ones some of them are! They all look quite grown up. I shall be terrified of them." Certainly the girls in the top form seemed very grown up to Darrow. They took no notice at all of the little ones. The younger girls made way for them when they climbed into their carriages in a rather lonely manner. "Hello, Letty. Hello, Mary. I say, there's Penelope. Hi, Penny. Come over here. Well done, you never wrote me in the hall, you mean pig. Jean, come into our carriage." The gay voices sounded all up and down the platform. Darrow looked for her mother. Ah, there she was, talking to a keen-faced mistress. That must be Miss Potts. Darrow stared at her. Yes, she liked her. She liked the way her eyes twinkled, but there was something very determined about her mouth. It wouldn't do to get into her bad books. Miss Potts came over and smiled down at Darrow. "Well, new girl," she said, "you'll be in my carriage going down. Look, that one over there. The new girls always go with me." "Oh, are there new girls besides me? In my phone, I mean," asked Darrow. "Oh, yes, two more. They haven't arrived yet," said Mrs. Rivers. "Oh, yes, two more. They haven't arrived yet. Mrs. Rivers, here's a girl in Darrow's phone, Alicia Jones. She will look after Darrow for you when you've said goodbye." "Hello," said Alicia, and the two bright eyes twinkled at Darrow. "I'm in your phone. Do you want to get a corner seat? If so, you had better come now." "Now say goodbye, dear," said Mrs. Rivers cheerfully, and she kissed Darrow and gave her a hug. "I'll write as soon as I get your letter. Have a lovely time." "Yes, I will," said Darrow, and watched her mother go down the platform. She didn't have time to feel lonely, because Alicia took complete charge of her at once, pushed her to Miss Potts' carriage, and showed her up the step. "Put your bag in one corner, and I'll put mine opposite," said Alicia. "Then we can stand at the door and see what's happening. I say, look over there. Picture of how not to say goodbye to your darling daughter." Darrow looked to where Alicia nodded. She saw a girl about her own age, dressed in the same school uniform, but with her long hair loose down her back. She was clinging to her mother and wailing. Now what that mother should do would be to grin, shove some chocolate at her and go, said Alicia. "If you got a kid like that, it's hopeless to do anything else. Poor little mother's darling." The mother was almost as bad as the girl. Tears were running down her face too. Miss Potts walked firmly up to them. "Now you watch Potty," said Alicia. Darrell felt rather shocked. "Potty! What a name to give to your house mistress! Anyway, Miss Potts didn't look in the least potty. She looked thoroughly old there. "I'll take Gwendolen," she said to the girl's mother. It's time she went to her carriage. "She'll soon settle down here, Mrs. Lacey." Gwendolen appeared ready to go, but her mother clung to her still. Alicia snorted. "See what's made Gwendolen into such an idiot," she said. "Her mother! Well, I'm glad mine's sensible. Yours look jolly nice too, cheerful and jolly." Darrow was pleased at this praise of her mother. She watched Miss Potts firmly disentangle Gwendolen from her mother and lead her towards them. "Alicia, here's another one," she said, and Alicia pulled Gwendolen up into the carriage. Gwendolen's mother came to the carriage and looked in. "Take a corner seat, darling," she said, "and don't sit with your back to the engine. You know how sick it makes you." And another girl came up to the carriage, a small, sturdy girl with a plain face and her hair tightly plaited back. "Is this Miss Post's carriage?" she asked. "Yes," said Alicia. "Are you the third new girl? North Tower?" "Yes, I'm Sally Hood," said the girl. "Where's your mother?" asked Alicia. "She ought to go deliver you to Miss Potts first, so that you can be crossed off her list." "Oh, mother didn't bother to come up with me," said Sally. "I came by myself." "Gracious," said Alicia. "Well, mothers are all different. Some come along and smile and say goodbye, and some come along and weep and wail, and some just don't come at all." "Alicia, don't talk so much," came Miss Potts' annoyed voice. She knew Alicia's wire tongue. Mrs. Lacey suddenly looked annoyed and forgot to give any more instructions to Gwendolen. She stared at Alicia angrily. Fortunately, the guard blew his whistle, and just then there was a wild scramble for seats. His foot jumped in with 2 or 3 more girls. The door slammed. Gwendolyn's mother peered in, but alas, Gwendolyn was on the floor, hunting for something she had dropped. "Where's Gwendolyn?" came Miss Lacy's voice. "I must say goodbye." "Where's—" But the train was now puffing out. Gwendolyn sat up and howled. "I didn't say goodbye," she wailed. "Well, how many times did you want to?" demanded Alicia. You'd already said it about 20 times. Miss Potts looked at Gwendolyn. She had already sized her up and knew her to be a spoiled only child, selfish and difficult to handle at first. She looked at quiet little Sally Hook, funny little girl with her tight-laced plaits and prim, closed-up face. No mother had come to see her off. Did Sally care? Miss Potts couldn't tell. Then she looked at Darrow. It was quite easy to read Darrow. She never hid anything, and she said what she thought, though not so bluntly as Alicia did. A nice, straightforward, trustable girl, thought Miss Potts, can be a bit of a monkey, I should think. She looks as if she had good brains. How that she uses them, I can do with a girl like Darrow in the tower. The girls began to talk. "What's Malory Towers like?" asked Alicia. "I've seen a photograph of it, of course. We looked awfully big." "It is. It's got the most gorgeous view. Over the sea, too," said Alicia. "It's built on the cliff, you know. It's lucky you're in North Tower. That's got the best view of all." "Does each tower have its own schoolrooms?" asked Darrow. Alicia shook her head. "Oh, no. All the girls from each of the 4 towers' houses go to the same classrooms. There are about 60 girls in each tower. Pamela is head of ours. There she is over there." Pamela was a tall, quiet girl who had got into the carriage with another girl about her own age. They seemed very friendly with Miss Potts and were eagerly discussing with her the happenings planned for the term. Alicia, another girl called Tessie, Sally, and Darrow chatted too. Gwendolyn sat in her corner and looked gloomy. Nobody paid her any attention at all, and she wasn't used to that. She gave a little sob and looked at the others out of the corner of her eye. Sharp Alicia saw the look and grinned. "Just putting it on," she whispered to Darrow. "People who really feel miserable always turn away and hide it somehow. Don't take any notice of our darling Gwendolyn." Poor Gwendolyn! If she had only known it, Alicia's lack of sympathy was the best thing for her. She had always had far too much of it, and life in Malory Towers was not going to be easy for her. "Cheer up, Gwendolyn," said Miss Potts in a cheerful tone, and immediately turned to talk to the big girls again. "I feel sick," announced Gwendolyn, at last determined to be in the limelight and get sympathy somehow. "You don't look it," said the downright Darrow. "Alicia?" "Does she, Miss Potts? I always go green when I feel sick." Gwendolyn wished she could really be sick. That would serve this sharp-tongued girl right. She leaned back against the back of her seat and murmured faintly, "I really do feel sick. Oh dear, what shall I do?" "Here, wait a bit, I've got a paper bag," said Alicia, and fished a big one out of her bag. "I've got a brother who always sits in a car, so mother takes paper bags with her wherever she goes. For Sam. I think it's always funny to see him stick his nose into it. Poor Sam, like a horse with a nose bag." Nobody could help laughing at Alicia's story. Gwendolyn didn't, of course, but looked angry. That horrid girl, poking fun at her again. She wasn't going to like her at all. After that, Gwendolyn sat quiet and made no further attempt to get the attention of the others. She was afraid of what Alicia might say next. But Darrow looked at Alicia with amusement and liking. How she would like her for a friend! What fun they could have together! Well, everyone, give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell. We'll get chapter 2. next time. Bye.